Hey, good morning, everybody. Want to take a moment to share a story from yesterday with a buyer. And this is going to be really revolving around E2 visas and some of the um, inconsistent communication and understanding of what works and what will not work. So, first, I'm going to caveat this by saying I'm not a lawyer, but as of today, I have done over 200 E2 visas from a variety of different countries over the last 13 or 14 years. So, first thing I wanted to share with everybody is that the smallest E2 visa I ever did was from Moldova or Kazakhstan, and I can't remember which. It was one of those little Baltic, former USSR countries, and it was for a Christmas tree business, decorating lights, and we got a 1 year on it because it was so small. But it was a successful process, and that person's still here 5 years later, and they have built their business up and have status. I have done well over 100 under $100,000. The majority of those were in service sector businesses with 0 employees, 1 employee, or 2 employees. So why do I share those specific numbers? First, because there are attorneys who have stood in front of my company and my fellow brokers and told them there were minimums, and the data is just not there that says that is true. So when an attorney is giving opinion with regard to minimums you have to spend, that is truth by association. And it is natural for a person trying to immigrate to the States to try to have this very binary checklist: in or out. Do I meet these requirements that facilitate a visa? And the reality is that it's just not that simple. The consulates will look at the applicant, they will look at the business, they will look at the records of the business, they will look at the size of the family, the age of the applicant, and make a decision based upon all those factors. I've seen people get E2 visas without buying a business just because they have $1 million in a solid business plan and they've secured a lease. I've seen people get them on $35,000 Christmas businesses. But rules of thumb do exist that you should work with. So yesterday I met a guy, his brother. He had an attorney who told him to do a change of status, which means come in on your tourist visa and then change status. So when he went for his interview, they put him back on the plane because he opened his mouth and said, I've been talking to a broker and I'm going to buy a business, and the checkpoint kind of recognized what he was doing, and he was honest about it. They turned him around and said, you're not going back to your country, you're coming in under the B1, which is a tourist visa, and then going to do change of status, which is legal, but you're not supposed to say it out loud. I can talk more about change of status and what we've seen and why that's not so common anymore. There's hair on that dog when you do it. But what you generally want to look for in an E2 is, does the business have enough income to support the family that's transferring in? So, rule of thumb, $45,000, $50,000, $60,000 for a family of 4 on the bottom line. And that's got to be clean. That can't be a bunch of add-backs showing a negative on the front line, because you're presenting the file to a consulate officer and they don't understand how business works. They're government employees. So you want to have a profit number, you want to have a salary, interest and depreciation. That's all the cash flow that they really understand. You want to throw a business plan in there showing you how you're going to grow the business in year 2, 3, 4, that's going to add employees. And you want to show that you have the wherewithal to do that in terms of the funds. So, you can't have $100,000, spend $100,000 on business, and then get in here and have no working capital. That's going to be kind of a kick out when you go for your interview. All this could be really convoluted, and if you go on the internet, there's lawyer after lawyer after lawyer who gives opinion, and not all of them are wrong or right. Each opinion should be subjective. What I'm encouraging you to do is really understand and read the law yourself. Go to uscis.gov, read the law. When lawyers or brokers start giving you hard and firm, rules with regard to immigration on the E2 or the L1. You really need to be cautious there because, it's just not that simple. I've never had a rejection in all the years I've done this, and that's because I screen the attorneys that kind of talk that way. If they're thinking that way, they're not real creative, and they're puffing up their results because they're building a super heavy case. So yesterday I met a guy, he has two different attorneys he's deciding to, so I get on the phone with one, and I can't get the attorney. That's your first problem. When the attorney won't talk to you and you're pushed down to a paralegal, let's talk about what paralegals are. They are not lawyers. They prepare paperwork, and they damn well shouldn't be giving opinions. And this young lady started telling me what will work and what will not work for a visa. So I looked at the client and I went, she's not a lawyer. She doesn't have the right to talk that way. And she's patently wrong because here I am, a guy who's done 200 visas, and she's telling me I can't get an E2 visa because it's a lawn service and there's no lease. So that's another myth that's out there, that you have to go get a lease. Now, arguing with a lawyer is a losing proposition, and as not being an attorney, they start getting all pissy and moany when you start telling them they don't know what they're talking about. But my counsel to that buyer at that point was, look, you need to go with a lawyer who knows what he's talking about. He was referred to me by the other attorney he was talking to. I said, first, my opinion is you should stick with her. She has done this many, many times. I got on the phone with her, went through the cases of each business the guy was looking at, and she said, yeah, X, Y, and Z are probably preferred options for the buyer. Another thing you have to recognize as a buyer is that, you shouldn't be making a buy decision on a business based solely on a visa. That's just stupid business. You need to think about it. A, can I run it? Do I have the skills? B, does it make money to support my family as I'm here? Does it cash flow relative to my reserves? So, for example, if I buy a business and I take 90 days to get paid and I only got 30 days of reserves, that's not going to work for you on a personal level. And then you want to look at, the ability to get rid of it. The guy yesterday I was talking to was Pakistani, and the buyer was coming from Saudi, and he wanted to open up a hookah bar. And I looked at him and I went, no offense, but there aren't that many freaking people that want to buy a hookah bar. You have to be able to get rid of this business. If you choose to do that, understand the likelihood of selling it decreases proportionally to the demand in the marketplace. So you have to be very, very practical with regard to your choices. So for more on E2 visas and advice as a buyer when you're buying an E2 visa, what attorneys, I've got a list of about 7 here in the city that I use on a regular basis. Love to share them with you, who have all had exponential success. www.yourfloridabusinessbroker.com.